Hello America, I'm Aaron Friedman and this is Politidoxy. Today's topic, diversity. Diversity is stunning, it's brave, it's beautiful. And it's also a complete lie that it's all of those things. Diversity is actually a thing that we should not be hoping to achieve. It's a thing to overcome. As a matter of fact, it exists. But it should never be the end goal. Under the patina of diversity, riots, racial hatred, crime, Satanism, impoverishment, cultural decay, destroying of traditions, destruction of heritage, all of that has manifested itself. The United States is being carved out into an empty shell, and in its place, a new world order, where everyone and everything is different. As a matter of fact, nothing has anything in common with the other thing, or anyone has anything in common with the other person. You might even call it abstract art, where it doesn't represent anything except the geniuses of our liberal elite. They can see some picture or other. Diversity is our weakness. As a matter of fact, it's about time somebody said it. Diversity is fundamentally anti-American. To be pro-American is to be e pluribus unum, out of many, one. You take from a diverse group of peoples and ideas and you turn it into one. And that one is enshrined in our Constitution. That one is the American nation. But we have seen how important diversity is to the left. And it's not just the diversity, it's also important the division. But even more important than division is opposition. Divide and then oppose. And then you conquer. Divide black against white. Now make them oppose. Divide one religion against the other. Now make them oppose. Divide neighbors and families. The only division I want to see is the division of the political parties, where ideas would manifest themselves so we know exactly where people stand, and then we will oppose those bad ideas and unify. Unum. Liberals, Republicans, Independents, Republicans, Democrats, and yes, Libertarians. Under the great contract known as the Constitution. What do you think you get when you try to replace the people of a country with a different group of people who do not respect, as a matter of fact, some actively hate the ideas of equality under the law, free speech, a right to defend oneself, a right to privacy, a right to property? They look at those things as not fundamental rights, but luxuries that only the elite should afford. You are replacing the people of this nation and bringing in lesser cultures and lesser nations. And we are supposed to ignore the fact that it's happening? And you think by saying, they are just the same as us, makes it true? Their culture is not the same as ours. Their ideas is not the same as ours. You can't just bring in all these people and hope for the best. And don't forget, these same people who say, oh, everything will be fine, explain us in the history books that the imperial colonialists divided the Middle East and Africa into wrong-shaped countries because they didn't understand the national ethnicities and religions and cultures, and they mixed it up. Wait a minute, I thought diversity is a strength. But for some reason, when it comes to the Middle East, that's not how it works. For some reason, when it comes to Africa, that's not how it works. Why bringing in a diverse group of cultures into the United States and not making them assimilate into the United States is a good thing, but what the imperial colonialists did in carving out countries in the Middle East and Africa, that's because, oh, they didn't understand how cultures work. Again, this is about division. So you fight amongst yourselves instead against your liberal overlords. They don't really have a problem with bringing in all this diversity and so-called cultural enrichment because they don't have to live with it. They will actively throw out these people when they come into their neighborhoods. They claim to love those outside cultures, but they would never dare live with those outside cultures more than a vacation for a week. And why is it wrong for America to cultivate its own culture? Why do we have to be culturally enriched? Nobody's forcing these other countries to take in more people of other cultures. For some reason, America is required to do so. So let's make this clear. This is cultural erasure of specifically the American culture. It's the erasure of the American people. And yes, to the Democrats, it's the erasure of a specific race. That's what they say actively. That's not my words. That's their words. They love talking about they need to erase whiteness. They always talk about how bad whiteness is. It's their words. That's what they do. What else do I have to bring to the table as evidence in order for people to start believing The murderers are standing you right in the face and you still are reluctant to open your eyes and face them. The murderers of our culture are trying to destroy America and you think they're still playing fair. Our social engineers hate us. When there was a tragedy in Palestine, Ohio, nobody went down until Donald Trump went down. What was Pete Buttigieg doing? He was talking about too many white workers in hard hats. And then guess what? He went down to Ohio and guess what he wore? Of course, he dressed up in a yellow vest, orange vest, whatever, and a hard hat. Talk about hypocrisy. They are literally poisoning people in Ohio, telling them, oh, it's okay, it's fine. No, it's not. No, it is not. Let's not forget what recently, very recently happened when a woman lost her 2 children to the drugs being smuggled through the southern border. What was Joe Biden's remarks? Oh, those drugs were smuggled in under the Trump's administration. Ha 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 ha. Isn't this the whole point of Joe Biden? Oh, he is empathetic. Turns out he's just pathetic, but he's very empathetic, don't you know? The Democrats, the party for the working man, for the people who have been let down, for the forgotten people. No! No, absolutely not. That's not what's happening here. I'm not sure how it made sense in people's minds that Joe Biden is the empathetic president when he won't even acknowledge his own grandchild. Oh yes, look that up. This guy is a complete pathological liar who lied before he even knew how to speak. Lying is easier for him than talking. Don't ask me how he does it, it just is. But continue voting Democrat. We have seen how it works out under Jim Crow, or under the Civil Rights era, which they opposed every Civil Rights Act until 1964, which still a majority of Republicans actually endorsed, and the Democrats opposed still, but we're getting sidetracked here. Let's go back to diversity. Democrats have said over and over again that they want to replace you, because the American nation is not good enough for them. They hate you, and they want to replace you. It's their words, look them up, it's all over the internet. Then you have Republicans and real conservatives like Tucker Carlson pointing it out, hey, this is what they are saying, and then for some reason we are supposed to think that, oh my god, he is advocating for white supremacists to come out against white genocide. Tucker Carlson is promoting the great replacement theory. I mean, you guys are talking about it. He's only pointing out that you're talking about it, and that means he's advocating for it? You are the greatest purveyors of such a theory. Look up the quotes from Joe Biden. Look up the quotes from Chuck Schumer and all of those other Democrats. Look up their quotes. You will see it. They're actively celebrating it. We already have an American nation. And yes, white people, black people, other groups of people, all have a right to it. And they shouldn't be replaced by foreigners with foreign traditions, foreign languages, foreign cultures, and so on. They should be assimilating here, and that is for the ones we do allow into the country, which we also have a right to decide who gets in. Now don't get me wrong, you're allowed to have your own traditions, own cultures, within the greater culture of the American nation. There is no problem there. But when you want to replace the culture, the traditions, the heritage, the ideas that made this country so great, that's where we are in conflict, and we will not stay quiet. And also, this diversity of thought crap I constantly hear from the right. We don't need a diversity of people, we need diversity of thought. I mean, kinda, yes, but it's kind of a dumb statement to make, because to an extent, it's quite obvious. So thank you, Captain Obvious, for that. But then there are ideas that shouldn't be allowed in polite society, at least in the American society. And no, those ideas does not include the amount of how many taxes people should pay, or the ideas of socialism and so on. Those ideas could be well critiqued and examined. But to keep it family friendly, the ideas I'm talking about that shouldn't be discussed in polite society are the ones that we've all come to know in the recent few years. And we see how much better things have gotten once we've started to adopting to those ideas. Do you think the Founding Fathers really wanted our future to look like this? Do you think the soldiers who fought the German army in Normandy were fighting for this type of a future? But I digress. Back to diversity. Diversity is not a strength. It's a weakness that should be overcome. It happens, and it's okay. It's a fact of life. Let's just have the best get the job. Let's just have the best win the game. The best get the trophy. The best join the army. The best become our politicians. How about we stop racializing everything and see each other as one nation under God. No matter race, religion, ethnicity, etc. All that under one nation. And those who want to take it from us and racialize every issue, pitting family member against family member, one human being against another, we will utterly humiliate you. We will destroy, degrade, and eradicate those bad ideas that set us apart from one another. And to purveyors of those bad ideas, I say, watch your back. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Please, you could leave a message on this episode if you want to reach out to me. You can email me at politidoxy@gmail.com. Also, please, share this podcast. Share it wherever to whoever you can. Also, subscribe, follow, wherever you listen. And remember, stay political.